Good day, everyone! This is the report of Group 1, which talks about the history and development of basketball. It is undeniable that we all know this kind of sport as we see men playing in the court or even outside of our houses. And during intramurals, we hear a lot of people shouting and cheering for their teams, or even when there is a live game airing on our televisions. But what is basketball? Basketball is a sport played by two teams of 5 players on a rectangular court. The objective is to shoot the ball through a hoop 18 inches in diameter and mounted at a height of 10 feet to a backboards at each end of the court. A team can score a field goal by shooting the ball through the basket during regular play. Basketball is one of the world's most popular and widely viewed sports.
The history of basketball. In 1891, the game basketball was invented by Dr. James Naismith, a Canadian physical education professor from McGill University of Montreal and instructor of YMCA Training School in Springfield, Massachusetts, USA. He would be the first coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, one of the most successful programs in the game's history. Kansas Jayhawks are the athletic teams that represent the University of Kansas.
Trivia: Naismith's handwritten diaries, discovered by his granddaughter in early 2006, indicate that he was nervous about the new game he had invented, which incorporated rules from a children's game called Duck on a Rock, as many had failed before it. Naismith called the new game basketball. In a later discovered handwritten diaries shows that Naismith was extremely worried about his invented game, and that he was inspired by a children's game called Duck on a Rock. Some people wanted to name the sport Naismith Ball, but Naismith was determined that the new game will be called basketball.
The first official game was played in the Young Men's Christian Association or YMCA Gymnasium in Albany, New York, and this was happened on January 20, 1892 with 9 players. The game was ended at 1-0. The shot was made from 25 feet or 7.6 meters on a court just half the size of a present-day street ball or National Basketball Association NBA court.
The first ball. The very first ball that was used was a soccer ball until 1840, when an actual basketball was invented. The basketball was slightly smaller, about 30 inches in diameter. So James Naismith used the first ball, which is the soccer ball. So, ang basketball ay bahagyang mas maliit at mga nasa 30 pulgada lang ang lapad nito.
The first basketball hoop was created by Dr. James Naismith in 1891. The original basket was a pitched basket that had no hole with a metal rim to support. Finally, the basket was put on a 10-foot pole and then players would try and score. Every time the ball went in the basket, it had to be retrieved by getting a ladder to climb up and get it. This created problems with timing and scoring.
What is backboard? So backboard is a board placed at or serving as the back of something. And in basketball, a backboard is a piece of basketball equipment. It is a raised vertical board with an attached basket consisting of a net suspended from a hoop. So in 1893, to the overzealous spectators interfering with the basketball, the backboard was invented. The first backboard was constructed out of wire mesh and then wood, and now it is made out of glass, so the backboard does not interfere with the viewing of the game.
Now let's move on to the development of basketball. Basketball grew steadily but slowly in popularity in United States and internationally in the first 3 decades of the World War II. This means that basketball has been played after it has been invented, but the game has not peaked its popularity because of the war. Interest deepened due to television exposure. With the advent of cable television in the 1980s, the game's popularity exploded at all levels. Because of the result of television exposure, some players and even athletes have gained interest to basketball. We can say that having basketball featured on television did help get its popularity.
Through time, basketball has developed to involve common techniques such as shooting, passing, dribbling, players' position, offensive, and defensive structures.
Basketball has been given spectacular players. They are the best and has been ranked for the best player. First, we have Irvin Johnson. Irvin simply changed the game of basketball when he burst onto the NBA scene out of Michigan State in 1979. Just think about how incredible it is that in his first season in the league. Second, Julius Erving. Irving was everyone's Michael Jordan's before Michael Jordan. Irving is the godfather of the modern NBA. Third, Boston's had more than its fair share of Hall of Famers roll through the old Boston Garden, but nobody was as lethal a scorer or as clutch at the end of games like Larry Legend, a three-time champion who won 3 consecutive MVPs in the mid-80s.
So there are 4 areas being developed for the game. So the first one is US high school and college basketball. So high school and colleges began to introduce the new game, and by 1905, basketball was officially recognized as a permanent winter sport. So second one, professional basketball. So ang halimbawa dito ay ang National Basketball Association or NBA. Ito ay isang tinatawag na professional basketball. At hindi lang NBA, pati na rin ang Philippine Basketball Association or PBA. It is a men's professional basketball league in the Philippines. Third one, women's basketball. So the name of women's basketball is Women's National Basketball Association or WNBA. National Basketball Association or NBA Board of Governors as women's analog to the NBA. So lastly, International Basketball. The International Basketball Federation, it is an association of national organizations which governs the sport of basketball worldwide.
Indeed, basketball has been one of the forefront of American sports scene with its greatly increased exposure, alongside such traditional leaders as baseball and football. However, basketball has become much bigger than the game itself. Basketball has become a platform in which both young men and young women are equally encouraged to compete and fulfill their destiny as elite athletes. Various rule and regulation changes has allowed the game to adapt to a changing culture, which has allowed the sport only to increase in popularity. This popularity is only growing more quickly as players are getting better. And the future of basketball has never been more promising than it is today.